And we are live. Welcome to our episode of Business Focus Live with me, John, where we talk about business related topics as well as news from here and around the world. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and let's get started. And we're back. Today is, what day is today again? July 3rd, Friday. So today we have a lot of interesting topics to cover. So without further ado, let's get started. So as you can see from our main title here, for those who are an avid iPhone user or Apple product user, you might be surprised to find out in the next iteration of the next iPhone series or iPhone 12, they might not provide you with a charger or adapter, power adapter in the next iteration. Now, it used to be that they only omitted or removed the earphone feature, which used to be a staple in the first place, but customers were not, you know, uh, were not problematic or did not cause any issues. But I don't know if it would be the same still if the power adapter would not be included anymore. And this is according to the international securities analyst Ming Chi Kuo. So let's take a look here. So according to him, the the reason for omitting the power adapter so that they can keep the cost down and still maintain its phone features or in terms of being 5G enabled so that they can maintain the same price as its previous edition of the iPhone 11, which is kind of surprising if you think about it. If you start going this path of removing certain features which used to be included in the first place, then what's the next step? So would you be removing other components within the smartphone, and up to what extent? Now, one other concern is that Kuo is predicting not just not including the power adapter, but it is also stated that the lightning cable would not be included, which is, it's a sad day if that were to be true. Now, obviously, if you're a loyal Apple user, you might still buy their products. But as for, let's say, you're a non-Apple user, like let's say using Android, you might be hesitant to shift to their ecosystem, so to speak. So, so what does Apple have to say about this? Now, one thing that they're stating is it's got something to do with reducing costs and being more environmentally friendly, which is reasonable to begin with. But what they're doing now is they're selling the adapter on a separate package altogether. So if you do need to have the power adapter, let's say you don't have to begin with, then you have to pay for it as an extra cost, which should have been included in the first place, right? And another thing here is they're trying to improve on their charger as well. So it used to be on a 5 watt or 18-watt charger, and now they're improving to a more powerful 20-watt charger capability. So question here is, will this affect their bottom line when the time comes, if and when the iPhone 12 is released later this year or sometime this year? So we still have to wait and see what will happen. And obviously this will cause controversy, not just now or even in the immediate future and for the foreseeable time, because as I mentioned earlier, removing certain features that was included in the first place, like the headsets and now the charging brick, is being removed from their packaging. So what looks like for people, it would seem like the so-called term, you're nickel diming your customers. So you're trying to skim on certain features, that thinking that customers would buy it on a separate basis, which is supposed to be included, because the fact of the matter is the phone is a very expensive item. $1,000 used to be is the power brick is included. Now you're paying for the same price, but the power brick is not included anymore. Even if I'm not a iPhone user, but would be apprehensive on buying such product. But how about other users? What do you think? Would you still purchase iPhone, the next iteration of the iPhone? We'll see what happens. Okay. On another related story, sticking on the technology side, so if you're familiar with Spot from Boston Dynamic, it's a four-legged robot. So let me show you what it looks like. There you go. Here you go. So here is Spot from Boston Dynamics, and the company is now selling to other businesses for about $75,000 now. For those who are familiar what Spot is, as I mentioned, Spot is a four-legged robot, right? Looks cool, and in terms of the price itself, it's similar to a luxury vehicles. If you think about it, so not everyone can simply afford and use it as a toy per se. And in actuality, the main purpose of Spot here is for business application, for business, for construction and so forth. So let me give you an example. Take a look here. I think they have several examples here. Let's scroll down here. There you go. So let me show you the clip here so you can see what Spot can do. So Spot is considered to be a mobility platform, so to speak, that can be customized for different users with different sensors programmed to perform patrols and inspection. Now, as you can see here, Spot is not self mobile. There's a user that is wirelessly remotely controlling the Spot. So it's not yet totally moving by itself. But what they're trying to do here is to create awareness of its multifunctionality, and you can see here, they're not just good for business application, but for dancing features as well. So, and according to Boston Dynamics, they're planning to sell the robot to industrial commercial customers who has a sensor that they want to take somewhere where people can't go. So obviously, it's more for practical purposes, and it's very interesting to see what the future will bring to us. It used to be that when we look at technology in televisions or movies, that it's years or decades away, but some of the technologies being implemented is already here in the present right now. Now, obviously, there's still limitations in terms of what Spot can do, but the future is looking promising, as you can see in the video. So what's missing now is the self-automation capability, meaning Spot can be programmed and act on its own. One interesting feature that I saw earlier is, or before in previous videos, if Spot is going straight and there's an obstruction, you don't have to steer away the Spot. It can move by itself, which is kind of interesting, and it can go so up and down on a flight of stairs, which is a remarkable achievement on its own. Going back, so you can see here, where is it? There you go. So Spot here has many possible applications. It only depends on the company that is going to utilize it and make full use of its features. Now, obviously, one of the main concerns, obviously there are positive but also negative connotations with the use of technology, is the potential misuse of Spot. Now, obviously, Boston Dynamics is enforcing a code so that it cannot be used as a weapon or harm other people. Actually, Spot is a very small, nimble robot, so to speak, and it can be easily, easily pushed, but it can stand on its own easily as well. So the future is here. So the possibility is, it's very interesting to see what the future holds for Boston Dynamic. Now, they've already leased 150 units of spot to different customers. They're targeting to reach 1,000 customers by next year. Hopefully, they reach that quota, and the future looks interesting. So let's stay tuned. Now, on another related story, speaking of technology being banned, so for those who are familiar with TikTok and other social media app, the app is being banned on being banned in India. So let's dig deeper here. Let's take a look. There you go. So so aside from TikTok, other 59 Chinese apps is being banned in India's market. So such as TikTok, WeChat platform, where they have millions and millions of users. So the reason for being is, according to the government in Delhi, they're stating that it's prejudicial to sovereignty and integrity of India, defense of India, security of state, and public order. Obviously, the Chinese government is strongly concerned with said banning of different apps. Obviously, the one of the main concern is in terms of the security breach in terms of not just the security, but it started with the dispute border between the two nations, which left 20 Indian troops dead. Now, whether that's related to that or not, at the end of the day, the government is cracking down and shutting down many of the apps that was popular and being used in the Indian market. So it's not just TikTok, such as platform on Weibo, Clash of Kings, Alibaba's UC browser, e-commerce app Club Factory, and Shein. So obviously, Beijing has asked India's government to reconsider the decision. Now, now what prompted the ban? Obviously, apart from the could be perceived clash between the two nations, but it was as a result of many complaints from the various sources stating of stealing and surreptitiously transmitting users' information. So obviously, this not have been a isolated concern, not just in India, but in other nations as well. So will this proliferate? What will happen to the many users that have been popular and made TikTok as their primary income source and so forth? So how will this impact the ban? Obviously, it's not just the business who will be impacted by this, but as well as the many users and also the people who have been accustomed or been made popular in this platform. Actually, let me show you a short tidbit regarding the main user here. So let's keep the volume down. So here we can see a regular person, using the platform to make a name for himself, and as it's stated there, he has 4 million users, right, or followers in this case, and obviously this will bring a lot of followers and help his business as a whole. So what will they do now in place of this? So obviously, government decision is difficult for many users in general. And right now, there are actively 120 million users. That's a lot of people using this platform. So as for on the app maker side, they're still committed to working with the Indian government. Hopefully, they would do change their mind in terms of allowing them to be allowed to use in the market again. And some updates on our previous topics that we have discussed earlier. So, or not earlier, previous weeks, my mistake. So, if you recall, we've discussed the issues concerning regarding the Disney theme parks reopening too soon. And which is surprising to see that it's not just concerns of visitors going in terms of their safety, but their employees are already protesting regarding the reopening of the theme parks too soon. Now, in the previous discussion or last week, we discussed that their concern in terms of is the safety procedures in terms of precautions, sorry, for the temperature testing, wearing face masks, is it enough to ensure the safety of all participants, not just the visitors, but as well as the employees? And one thing that's important to the participants or the workers is that is there going to be a testing done to ensure the safety of everyone involved? Obviously, if you do testing, it's going to involve an extended amount of expenses. And right now, you have 17,000 employees going back to work and their fear of being contracted. Now, they've already discussed regarding, what do you call this? Uh, Included in their deal with the labor union is the additional sick pay, face coverings for guests and cast members, and reduced park capacity. But will it be enough? Now, obviously, for the employees, all the measures that they've been discussing up to that point is not sufficient. And you can just imagine, if the employees don't feel safe, what more for the visitors who have no idea what they're getting into if and whenever the theme park reopens. And it's going to be a big PR nightmare. I can imagine if you're a Disney company and they've already stated in the first place that they're going to put a disclaimer of sorts that if you do go visit their theme parks, that they will not be held liable. So if you're going to do that, you have to ensure that the facility is safe for people to visit. Again, I'll keep you updated regarding as to what will happen next year. So it's not just the theme parks in Disney are on pause as to reopening too soon. Also is the state of California, in particular San Francisco, is pausing its reopening phase of their many businesses due to the fact of the rising cases of the coronavirus, which is alarming. Now, obviously, many businesses are very impacted in the past few months, so obviously they want to reopen as soon as possible to salvage what they have, and get back those people who need their jobs to supplement their family and so forth. But with the number of growing cases of the virus increasing, is it too soon to reopen your businesses, especially the type of business that will incur or will have a high number of people congregating, such as nail salons, barber shops, and restaurants. So in this case, according to the San Francisco mayor, London Breed, he stated that the city will temporarily delay its planned reopening. So which included, as I mentioned, those types of establishment. So they plan to reopen their business early this month, but have postponed it indefinitely. Now, obviously, how is this going to affect many more businesses? Because the longer that businesses stay closed, the more likelihood that a business will stay shut down and maybe worst case scenario lay off employees and to the point of going bankrupt. So it's not never an easy thing. That's why government has to do their part, ensure that the virus or the pandemic is contained, so that they can encourage businesses to reopen so that people can go back to their normal lives. Now, how soon can they do that? When is too soon, or is it too late? Things of that nature. So I'll keep you updated as to what will happen here. So next. So finally, for some local news, so in connection with businesses having difficulty, surviving this pandemic, so what can our government do for the many businesses that are affected? So it's not just the many businesses or the government doing their part, but other institutions, financial institutions that can contribute to help aid our small businesses. And one such company is, we mentioned last time, it was BPI who was doing their part to help many micro SMEs. In today's discussion, we'll focus now on Sunlife, the company of Sunlife. So here, Sunlife is rolling out a program to help, as I mentioned, micro SMEs. So that's micro, small, medium enterprises or MSMEs, as well as overseas Filipino workers or OFW. So according to the program, so their main focus here is to reach the micro SMEs, as I mentioned, who are significantly affected by the pandemic. And this is according to the Sunlife Philippine Marketing Business Support Head, Christopher Kerry Kasipit. So they have set up two programs, as I mentioned, to focus on the MSMEs as well as the OFWs to assist them through information campaigns, trainings, and insurance plans. Now, according to Mr. Kasipit, he mentions that those are the two important segments that Sunlife would like to expand and look into the coming months and years. We would like to encourage them to have the courage to pick up the next step for a better life. They were hit hard at this time, but we are here to partner with them. Obviously, this sounds good. So the key question here is, how can this benefit the many businesses? Now, obviously, if you're a business here, you want to ensure your business so that things like this, when a pandemic like this occur, your business can be safe and protected. Now, according to Sunlife here, they did a survey asking 500 respondents. Is it 500? Yeah, they survey 500 respondents regarding concerns about their physical health of their families, the condition of the economy, and so forth. And in the survey, they were able to find out that they found out that the clients remained hopeful amidst the concerns, with a 68% that their clients said that their most dominant sentiment is hopefulness. So people are still optimistic even in difficult situation. It is a good sign that Filipinos are remaining positive. But how long can that positive sustain us? Well, hopefully for a longer period of time. Now, obviously, the way to target the micro SMEs, as I mentioned earlier, is to help cover their debt for loans and mortgages, as well as buy and sell agreements. Hopefully, this could protect them in terms of their assets and their liabilities in the long run. Now, on the other hand, helping OFWs or overseas Filipino workers in terms of financial literacy, in terms of putting up your own investment, as well as insuring yourself to protect your family and loved ones. So we need more businesses to do their part to help our many businesses who are in dire need and dire straits. So it's not just the big companies who are significantly affected, and as we all know, majority of our businesses here in our country are majority comprised of MSMEs. So whatever government can do their part, as well as the many businesses, big businesses or institutions can contribute to the economy, is always a big help. And I think that concludes our discussion for today's live stream. So if you have any questions, leave your comments down below and I'll get back to you. So also, don't forget to hit the notification bell icon so you can stay updated with the latest news as well as videos. So help this channel grow. So as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week. Same time, same channel. Take care. Okay, let's hit the egg. Where's the exit? The output. And the live stream. And end.